Good afternoon. My name is Stuart Fischer. This afternoon, the Just the Stage I'm Going Through production group performs Sherlock Holmes, adapted by Orson Welles from William Gillette's play of the same name. This is our fifth Zoom reading from the Mercury Theatre on the Air broadcast of classical works. Uh, the Mercury Theatre, led by Orson Welles, began broadcasting these programs over CBS radio starting in the summer of 1938, the most famous of which was a modern adaptation of H.G. Wells' The War of the Worlds, which led to instances of panic from those listeners who believed that a Martian invasion was actually occurring. Unfortunately, while the War of the Worlds broadcast is frequently done, many of the other fine scripts from the Mercury Theatre on the Air are never done, an omission that we hope to remedy. I will now ask our cast to come on stage, or actually, to be more precise, to turn on their videos and introduce themselves.
Christopher Tully as Sherlock Holmes.
Bill MacDonald as Dr. John Watson.
Ollie Maxted as Billy.
Nathan Rosen as Foreman, Foreman as Judson, and Leary.
John Sheldon as LARRABEE.
Emlyn Altman as Alice FAULKNER.
Erin Klarner as MADGE.
Jen Sizer as Professor Moriarty.
Tricia Pisarra as BASSICK and Parsons.
And Marshall Bradshaw as CRAIGIN and the carriage driver.
Thank you, everyone. You can now turn your videos off for now. I'm Stuart Fischer again. I'll be playing the role of McTAGUE as well as directing and producing this. A cast member, Erin Klarner, is also our technical director, and our sound designer and executor for this production is Misty, doing her first production for us. Welcome, Misty. We will now begin our performance with an edited version of Orson Welles' remarks before the original broadcast. Good evening. Well, tonight it's back to Baker Street. Back to that unlikely London of the 19th century, where high adventure awaits all who would seek it, in a hansom cab or under a gas lamp in an Inverness cape. For tonight, we pay tribute to the most wonderful member of that most wonderful world, a gentleman who never lived and who will never die.
My name is Watson. I am a doctor. It was in the year 1880 that Holmes and I were introduced by a mutual acquaintance. At the time, we were both looking for a lodging that would suit our moderate means. This we found on the second floor of a house at 221B Baker Street, and it was during the years that we occupied these chambers together that Holmes developed his unique international reputation as a consulting detective. During that time, I was privileged to be his daily companion, and I have done my modest share in giving to the world an account of some of his most famous cases. Most famous among these are the ones of which I've written under the names of The Sign of Four, the Speckled Band, A Hound of the Baskervilles, and A Study in Scarlet. They represent, however, only a minute fraction of the 643 cases that Holmes successfully solved during the years that we shared the lodgings in Baker Street. Other cases I one day hope to give to the world include the Tarlington murders, the sudden death of Cardinal Tosca, the adventure of Ricoletti of the Clubfoot and his abominable wife, the adventure of Mrs. Farintosh, the circus belle, and the case of the royal family of Scandinavia. Each illustrate, in their own way, the remarkable genius of my friend Sherlock Holmes. Since my marriage 3 years ago, Holmes has continued to occupy the Baker Street lodgings himself. And here, almost every afternoon, when my work in the office is finished, I'm in the habit of calling on him. The sitting room, as you go in, is exactly as it has been for the past 13 years. The worn bearskin rug, the huge sofa covered with faded chintz, the mantelpiece cluttered with miscellaneous objects, unanswered letters, and piles of loose tobacco. On one side of the fireplace, in a deep armchair, his pipe curling forth slow wreaths of acrid tobacco, and draped in his hideous dressing gown, sits Sherlock Holmes with his violin under his chin.
Come in. Watson, my dear fellow.
How are you, Holmes?
I'm delighted to see you. Perfectly delighted. Upon my word, I am. But I'm rather sorry to observe that your wife has left you.
Well, she has gone on a little visit, but how did you know?
How did... Well, I like that. How do I know anything? How do I know that you've been getting yourself very wet lately? Or that you've an extremely careless servant girl? Or that you've moved your dressing table to the other side of the room?
Holmes, if you had lived a few centuries ago, they'd have burnt you alive.
Such a conflagration would have saved me a great deal of time and expense.
Tell me now, how did you know all that?
It's too simple to talk about, really. Scratches and clumsy cuts, my dear fellow, on the inside of your shoe. Yeah, there, just where the firelight hits it. Scratches, cuts. Someone scraped away crusted mud and did it very badly indeed. Scraped the shoe along with it. There's your wet foot, my dear Watson, and your careless servant girl all in one shoe. Your face badly shaved on the right side. Used to be on the left. Light must come in from the other side of the room. Well, you couldn't very well move your window. Must have moved your dressing table.
Of course. But how the deuce did you know that my wife was away?
Where the deuce is your second waistcoat button? And what the deuce is yesterday's boutonniere doing in today's lapel? Why the deuce do you wear the expression of a man who...
Oh, marvelous, marvelous.
Elementary, my dear fellow, elementary. The child's play of deduction. I'm only doing it for your own amusement before we pass on to some more serious matters.
Oh, what is it now, Holmes?
Watson, my dear fellow, in the enthusiasm which has prompted you to chronicles and, well, if you might forgive my saying so, to somewhat embellish my little adventures, you've occasionally seen fit to introduce a certain element of romance, which always struck me as being just a trifle out of place, sort of like introducing elopement into the fifth proposition of Euclid. I merely refer to this in case you should see fit at some future time to chronicle the case of which I am now about to embark, the case of Professor Robert Moriarty.
Moriarty? I don't remember ever having heard of the fellow.
No, you haven't. And it's precisely this quality of invisibility that makes Professor Moriarty the Napoleon of crime, sitting motionless like an ugly, venomous spider in the center of his web. But that web, having 1,000 radiations and the spider knowing every single quiver in every one of them. And within 48 hours, I'll have the line drawn so tightly around him that he can't move. I'll arrest him and his whole gang.
Why, Holmes, this is a very dangerous thing.
My dear fellow, it's perfectly delightful. My whole life is spent in a series of frantic endeavors to escape from the dreary commonplace of daily existence. For a brief moment, I escaped. But you should congratulate me. The day before yesterday, I received in this room a visit of a certain foreign nobleman who recently inherited a very considerable title and is about to be married. It seems that this titled gentleman was so indiscreet as to fall in love with a young English lady by the name of FAULKNER, his social inferior, and to make her a promise of marriage. Now, later, at his family's insistence, the thing was broken off, and the young lady died shortly thereafter of a broken heart, leaving behind a sister, along with considerable evidence in the form of letters, photographs, and jewelry with inscriptions. But these the sister kept. And now these, together along with the sister, are being held in a house in St. John's Wood by a pair of blackmailers who go by the name of Chetwood. So far, as you see, my dear Watson, a fairly ordinary case of blackmail, hardly worth my attention. But last night, upon my inspection, a certain element entered into it which renders it a most important case, more important than I had expected.
And that element was?
Professor Moriarty. Oh, come in.
Beg pardon, Mr. Holmes.
Ah, Billy, yes, what is it?
There's a gentleman to see you by the name of Foreman.
Oh, show him in. Show him in, Billy.
Yes, Mr. Holmes. Come in, Mr. Foreman.
Good evening, Foreman.
Evening, Mr. Holmes.
Watson, this is Inspector Foreman. Since the day before yesterday, he occupies the position of butler under the name of Judson in the home of Mr. and Mrs. Chetwood, the blackmailers from St. John's Wood. Well, Foreman, any news?
Yes, sir. This morning, a little after 9, Chetwood and his wife drove away in a four-wheeler. They returned about 11. BASSICK was with them. You know him, sir?
Oh, yes. The last I had occasion to meet Mr. BASSICK, he got 2 years for safe cracking. Go on, Foreman.
Well, they took this man BASSICK into the library. I got a look at him from the outside, and there he was opening up the safe where they've been keeping the letters.
Go on.
In the end, when they got the safe open, it was empty. The letters were gone. It seems like the FAULKNER girl got them back somehow. That got them pretty excited. BASSICK went out to send a telegram.
Have you got a copy of it?
Oh, yes, yes, here it is. It's in code.
Moriarty. I thought so, Watson. Yes, this case is taking a most promising turn. Foreman, you'll return at once to the house in St. John's Wood. And within 10 minutes, I shall be there myself. And if I remember correctly, the kitchen is immediately below the drawing room. So when I knock over a chair in the drawing room, you'll overturn a lamp in the kitchen and scatter smoke bombs, and then give an alarm of fire. All other instructions remain unchanged.
Very good, sir.
Hurry on, Foreman.
Yes, sir.
Well, my dear Watson, it begins to look like a most interesting evening.
Now, will you give me those letters?
No, I won't. I won't.
Now, will you?
Oh.
Oh, now, will you?
Good evening. My name is Sherlock Holmes.
Whom do you wish to see, Mr. Holmes?
Thank you so much, Mr. Chetwood, but I had myself announced by the butler on my way up.
The butler? I didn't... Ah, very well. Oh, here he is. Yes, Judson.
Judson, will you please hand this card to Miss Faulkner and say that I have been inquiring into her presence?
I beg your pardon, Mr. Holmes, but it's quite useless, really.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yes, Miss Faulkner is, I regret to say, quite an invalid. She is unable to see anyone. Her health is so poor.
Well, has it ever occurred to you, Mr. Chetwood, that she might be confined to the house too much?
How does that concern you?
It doesn't. I've simply made the suggestion. Might like to think it over. What's your butler's name?
Judson, sir.
Very well, Judson. Go on, take up my card.
Very good, sir.
Well, this is really too good. Of course he can take up your card or your note or whatever it is if you wish it so much. I was only trying to save you the trouble.
Oh, thank you, but it's really hardly any trouble at all to send up a card.
Do you know, Mr. Holmes, you interest me very much.
Oh, really?
Upon my word, yes. We've all heard of your wonderful methods, the astonishing manner in which you gain information from the most trifling details. Now, I dare say in this brief moment or two, you've discovered any number of things about me.
Well, nothing of consequence, Mr. Chetwood. I hardly more than asked myself why were you so distressed to see me at this particular moment, and what there can possibly be about the safe in the lower part of that desk that could cause you such painful anxiety.
Very good. Very good indeed. If those things were only true, now I'd be wonderfully impressed. It would be absolutely remarkable.
Excuse me, sir.
Ah, Judson.
A message for you, Mr. Chetwood.
You'll excuse me, I trust? It's from Miss Faulkner. Oh, really, she begs to be allowed to see you, Mr. Holmes. She absolutely implores it. Well, I suppose I shall have to give way. Judson, ask Miss Faulkner to come down to the drawing room. Say that Mr. Holmes is waiting to see her.
Very good, sir.
Quite remarkable, upon my soul. May I ask, if it's not an impertinent question, what message you sent up that could have aroused Miss Faulkner's desire to come down?
Well, merely that if she wasn't down here in 5 minutes, that I'd go up.
Oh, that was it.
Yes, quite so. And unless I am greatly mistaken, I hear the young lady on the stairs, in which case she has a minute and a half to spare.
Alice, that is Miss Faulkner, let me introduce Mr. Sherlock Holmes.
Mr. Holmes?
Ah, Miss Faulkner.
I'm really most charmed to meet you, although it does look like you've made me come down in spite of myself, doesn't it?
Well, I thank you very much indeed for consenting to see me, Miss Faulkner. But I do regret to observe that you were put to the trouble of making such a very rapid change of clothes.
Yes, I did hurry a trifle, I confess. Mr. Holmes is quite living up to his reputation, isn't he, Freddie? Come in.
Yes, ma'am?
What are you doing here, Judson?
I beg pardon, ma'am. I was answering the bell.
What bell?
The drawing room bell, sir.
What do you mean, you blockhead? No one rang the bell.
I'm quite sure it was rung, sir.
I tell you, it did not ring.
The butler is right, Mr. Chetwood. The bell did ring.
How do you know?
I rang it.
What do you want?
I want to send my card to the real Miss Faulkner.
The real Miss...
Yes. I said the real Miss Faulkner. Judson?
Yes, sir?
Holmes, what right have you to ring for servants and give orders in my house?
What right have you to prevent my cards from reaching their destination? And how does it happen that you and this woman are resorting to trickery and deceit to prevent me from seeing Alice Faulkner? Through some trifling oversight, Judson, neither of the cards that I handed you has been delivered. Kindly see that this error does not occur again.
My orders, sir.
Ah, you have orders.
I can't say, sir.
You were told not to deliver my card.
What business is it of yours, I'd like to know?
I shall satisfy your curiosity on that point in a very short time, Mr. Chetwood.
Yes, and you'll find out in a very short time that it isn't safe to meddle with me. It wouldn't be any trouble at all for me to throw you out into the street.
Well, possibly not. But trouble would swiftly follow such an experiment on your part.
It's a cursed lucky thing for you that I'm not armed.
Yes, well, when Miss Faulkner comes down, you can go arm yourself.
Arm myself? I'll call the police. What's more, I'll do it now.
Oh, no, you will not do it now. You will remain right where you are until the lady I came to see has entered this room.
What makes you so sure of that?
Because you prefer to avoid an investigation of your suspicious conduct, Mr. James LARRABEE.
LARRABEE?
That is the name by which you're known to Scotland Yard, I believe, Mr. Chetwood. The lady here is your wife. And as to you, Judson, you'll either deliver that card to Miss Faulkner at once or sleep tonight in the police station. It's a matter of little consequence to me which you do.
Shall I go, sir?
Go on. Take up the card. It makes no difference to me.
Well, a short time since, LARRABEE, you displayed an acute anxiety to leave the room. Pray do not let me detain you now or your wife. Oh, I take it you prefer to remain while I talk to Miss Faulkner?
We do, Mr. Holmes.
At last, Miss Faulkner.
This is Mr. Holmes.
Yes.
You wish to see me?
Well, very much indeed, Miss Faulkner. But I'm sorry to see that you're far from well.
Oh, no,
No. I beg your pardon, but what does this mark mean?
Oh, nothing.
Nothing?
No.
And the mark here on your neck showing the clutch of a man's fingers, does that also mean nothing? It occurs to me I should like to have an explanation of this. Possibly you can provide one, Mr. LARRABEE.
How should I know?
Well, it seems to have occurred in your house.
What if it did? You'd better understand that it isn't healthy for you or anyone else to interfere with my business.
Ah, so it is your business. Well, we have that much at least. Pray, be seated, Miss Faulkner.
I don't know who you are, Mr. Holmes, or why you are here.
I shall be very glad to explain. My business is this. I've been consulted as to the possibility of obtaining from you certain letters addressed to your sister, which are supposed to be in your possession.
I cannot give up my sister's letters, Mr. Holmes. There are other things besides revenge. There is punishment.
Believe me, Miss Faulkner.
There's nothing more to say, Miss. Good night, Mr. Holmes.
But my dear Miss Faulkner. Oh, I'm sorry. How clumsy of me to turn over this chair.
Fire! Fire! Help!
What's that? What's that? What's going on in this house here?
What is it? What's going on?
Fire, Mr. Chetwood! Fire!
Fire? Where?
The lamp, sir!
Lamp?
The lamp in the kitchen, sir. It fell off the table, and everything down there is blazing, sir.
Blazing?
Quick, sir! Come down!
We're coming.
Don't alarm yourself, Miss Faulkner. There is no fire.
No fire?
The smoke was all arranged for.
Arranged for? What does it mean, Mr. Holmes?
It means this, Miss Faulkner. It means that I wanted that package of letters, and that by following your eyes just now when you thought there was a fire, I discovered that you'd hidden them in the upholstery of this chair. Quite elementary, as you see. Now that they're in my possession, there seems to be no reason for me to remain any longer in this house. Good night, Miss Faulkner. Miss Faulkner.
Yes?
I can't take them. These letters belong to you, and I find that I cannot keep them unless you possibly change your mind and let me have them of your own free will. I hardly supposed you could. I will therefore return them to you, and your friend, Mr. LARRABEE, he's returning from the fire.
So you've got the letters, have you? Now I suppose we're going to see you walk out of the house with them.
On the contrary, you're going to see me return them to the rightful owner. Miss Faulkner, here are your letters. Now, should you ever change your mind and be so generous, so forgiving, as to wish to return these letters to the one who wrote them, you have my address. In any event, rest assured that there will be no more cruelty, no more persecution in this house.
Thank you, Mr. Holmes.
You're perfectly safe with your property, Miss Faulkner. For I shall so arrange it that your faintest cry of distress will be heard. And if that cry is heard, it will be very, very unfortunate for those who are responsible. As for you, Mr. LARRABEE, and you, Mrs. LARRABEE, I beg you to understand that you continue your persecution of that young lady at your peril. Good night.
Miss Faulkner? Come here, Miss Faulkner. Now, are you going to give me those letters?
No, never.
Are you going to give me those letters? Now then.
I say be careful.
You shut up. Now then, Miss Faulkner, do you give me those letters or do I break your arm? What's that?
Someone knocked on the door.
No, it was on that side.
Did you call, madam?
I think someone knocked, Judson.
I'll see, madam. I beg pardon, madam, but there's no one at the door.
Very well. You may go. He's got us watched.
What we want to do is leave it alone. Let the Emperor have it.
Do you mean Professor Moriarty?
That's who I mean. Once I let him get at it, he'll settle it with Holmes pretty quick. Don't you worry a minute. I tell you, Professor Moriarty will get at him before noon tomorrow night. He won't wait long either. And when he strikes, it means death.
Number
82V71.
correct. Moriarty speaking. Come in, BASSICK. Your report coming from Manning?
The whole thing was a trap. Set and baited by an expert.
And Banning?
Manning has disappeared.
Disappeared? Sherlock Holmes again. Now this LARRABEE job, he's in on that too. And that's where he's made his mistake. Mr. Holmes is playing a rather dangerous game, BASSICK. Inspector Wilson tried it 7 years ago. Wilson is dead. 2 years ago, Anderson took it up. Haven't heard anything of Anderson lately, huh?
Not a thing, sir.
You've seen about that. This Holmes is a rather talented man. He doesn't realize there's not a street in London that'll be safe for him if I whisper his name to CRAIGIN. I might even make it a little call myself, just for the satisfaction of it. Just for the satisfaction of it. Baker Street, isn't it, his place? Baker Street, eh?
Baker Street, sir.
If we could make it safe. We could make it absolutely safe for 3 streets in every direction.
Yes, sir, but...
We could. We've done it over and over again elsewhere. Police decoyed, men in every doorway. Do this tonight in Baker Street. At 9 o'clock, call these attendants out on one pretext or another and keep them out. You understand? I'll see this Sherlock Holmes myself. I'll give him a chance for his life, but BASSICK.
Yes, sir.
Notify the Lascar that I may require the gas chamber at Stepney tomorrow night, and have CRAIGIN there at 10:15 with his crew. Tell LARRABEE I shall want him to write a letter to Mr. Sherlock Holmes, which I shall dictate. Meet me here at 7. And BASSICK, place your men at 9 tonight for Sherlock Holmes' house in Baker Street.
You'll still there go yourself, sir?
I will still go there myself.
But this meeting tonight, sir, to get him in the gas chamber.
If I fail to kill him in Baker Street, we'll have him in Swandam Lane. Either way I have him, BASSICK. 2 strings to our bow. 2 strings, eh, BASSICK?
That evening, Holmes and I dined together at Scott's in Piccadilly Circus. After dinner, we went to a concert at Queen's Hall. I can still see him on that particular night of the Moriarty case, well knowing that his life was in peril, sitting beside me in the stalls, wrapped in the most perfect happiness, listening to Sarasate play the violin, gently waving his long, thin fingers in time to the music. When it was over, he rose, put on his long coat, and started with long steps in the direction of the street.
Come, my dear Watson, let's go home to Baker Street. I have an idea that very soon we shall be receiving a most interesting visit.
In front of Queen's Hall, we hailed a hansom, and as we came down Baker Street, we could see the light was burning in the 2nd floor of 221B. We went up the dark, narrow stairs.
Mr. Holmes?
The boy, Billy, was waiting for us.
Mr. Holmes?
Yes, what is it?
Oh, Mrs. Hudson's compliments, sir, and she wants to know if she can see you.
Well, where is Miss Hudson?
Downstairs in the kitchen, sir.
Well, my compliments, but I don't think she can see me from where she is.
She'll be very sorry, sir.
Our regret will be mutual.
It was most terrible important, sir, seeing as she wants to know what you'll have for your breakfast in the morning.
The same.
Same as when, sir?
This morning.
But he didn't have nothing, sir. He wasn't here.
I won't be here tomorrow.
Yes, sir. Was that all, sir?
Quite so.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Oh, Mr. Holmes, here's a letter for you, sir, on the table, delivered 10 minutes ago.
Read it, Watson. Be a good fellow while I put on my dressing gown.
Yes, dear sir.
Who addresses me thus?
Why, James LARRABEE.
Ah, and what has James to say this evening?
Dear sir.
I hope he won't say that again.
I have the honor to inform you that Miss Faulkner has changed her mind regarding the letters. etc., etc., which you wish to obtain, and has decided to dispose of them for a monetary consideration. If you wish to negotiate, will you be at 9 o'clock at the Guards' Monument at the foot of Waterloo Place? You will see a four-wheeler with wooden shutters to the windows. If you have the cab followed or try any underhand trick, you won't get what you want. Let me know your decision. Yours truly, James LARRABEE.
Mine truly, eh? Well, later, perhaps.
What does the fellow mean?
Well, the fellow means to sell me a base imitation for a large sum of money of letters which he does not possess. I should probably buy them from him. Let's see if I have the points. Tonight, 9 o'clock, Guards Monument, cab with wooden shutters, no one to come with me, no one to follow, or I don't get what I want.
Quite right. But this cab with the wooden shutters?
Oh, it's merely a device to keep me from seeing where they're taking me. Billy!
Yes, sir?
Here, give this to the man who...
It was a woman, sir.
Young or old?
Looked quite young, sir.
In a hansom?
Four-wheeler, sir.
Have you seen the driver before?
Yes, sir, but I can't think where.
Well, hand this to the lady and apologize for the delay. Look at the driver again.
Yes, sir.
But, my dear Holmes, you didn't say you would go.
I certainly did.
But this fellow means mischief.
Well, this fellow means the same.
I beg pardon, sir. A message come over from the chemist on the corner to say a man has been hit by a bus. Looks like his legs broke. And would Dr. Watson kindly step over and help till the ambulance comes?
Oh, yes, certainly. I'll go at once. I'll be back in a minute, Holmes.
Billy.
Yes, sir?
Who brought the message?
Boy from the chemist, sir.
Yes, of course, but which boy?
Must have been a new one, sir. I ain't seen him before.
Billy, get downstairs quickly and look after the doctor. If the boy's gone and a man is with him, that means mischief. And let me know. And don't stop to come up. Ring the doorbell. I'll hear it. Ring it loud.
Yes, sir. Look out, sir! Look out! Look out!
It's a dangerous habit, Mr. Holmes. Finger-loaded firearms in the pocket of one's dressing gown.
I give you my word, Professor Moriarty. You'll be taken from here to the hospital if you keep your hand behind you like that. That's better. In that case, please put your revolver on the table.
You evidently don't know me.
I think it's quite evident that I do. Pray, have a chair, Professor. I can spare you 5 minutes. That is, if you have anything to say. And careful. What were you about to do, Professor?
Look at my watch.
I'll tell you when your 5 minutes is up.
So it is your intention to pursue this case against me?
It is my intention to the very end.
I regret this. Not so much on my own account, but on yours.
I share your regret, Professor, but solely because of the rather uncomfortable position it will cause you to occupy.
May I inquire as to what position you are pleased to allude, Mr. Holmes?
I refer to the position at the end of a rope that you will occupy, Professor.
Have you the faintest idea that you'd be permitted to live to see that day?
As to that, I do not particularly care, so long as you live to see it.
You'll never bring me to see it. Do you think that I would be here if I hadn't made the streets quite safe in every respect?
I could never so grossly overestimate your courage as that, Professor.
Do you imagine that your friend the doctor and your boy Billy will soon return?
What?
So, that leaves us quite alone, doesn't it, sir? Quite alone, so that we can talk over the matter quietly, Mr. Holmes, and not be disturbed. In the first place, I wish to call your attention to a few memoranda, which I've jotted down and which you will find...
Look out, don't do that. Get your hands down quickly. A little further away from that memorandum book you're talking about.
I was merely about to take out a small notebook.
Well, merely don't do it. I don't want it. I've got one of my own. If you want it, we'll have someone get it for you. I always like to save my guests unnecessary trouble.
I observe your boy doesn't answer the bell.
No, but I have an idea that he will before long.
It may possibly be longer than you think, Mr. Holmes.
What? The boy?
Yes, the boy.
Well, at least we'll try the bell one more time, Professor.
Doesn't it occur to you that he might have possibly been detained, Mr. Holmes?
It does, Professor. But it also occurs to me that you're in very much the same predicament.
I beg pardon, sir. Someone tried to hold me, sir.
It's quite evident, however, that he failed to do so.
Yes, sir. He's got my coat, sir, but he ain't got me.
Billy.
Yes, sir.
The gentleman I'm carefully pointing out to you with this 45 desires to have us get something out of his left-hand inside coat pocket. As he's not feeling quite himself today, and the consequence of trying to do so may prove fatal to himself, I suggest you attend to it for him.
Yes, sir. Is this it, sir? This gun?
Quite so. Quite so. Put it on the table. Not there, Billy. On this table, where I can reach it. That's more like it. That's all, Billy.
Shall I see if he's got another, sir?
Why, Billy, you surprised me. After the gentleman has taken the trouble to inform us that he hasn't.
When, sir?
And he made a snatch for this one. And now, Professor, now that we have your little memorandum book, do you think of anything else you'd like before Billy goes? Any little thing that you've got that you don't want? So sorry, that's all, Billy.
Thank you, sir.
Listen, Holmes, to me. On the 4th of January, you crossed my path. On the 23rd, you incommoded me. And now, at the close of April, I find myself placed in such a position through your continual interference that I am in positive danger of losing my liberty.
And have you any suggestions to make?
No, I have no suggestions to make. I have a fact to state. If you don't drop it at once, your life's not worth that.
I'm afraid, Professor, that in the pleasure of this conversation, I'm neglecting more important business. If you'll excuse me for a moment while I get my pipe off the mantelpiece here.
I came here this evening, Mr. Holmes, to see if peace could not be arranged between us.
Quite so, quite so.
You've seen fit not only to reject my proposals, but to make insulting references coupled with threats of arrest. You've been warned of your danger. If you don't heed that warning, perhaps you'll heed this. Up with your hands, Mr. Holmes. Up with them. Well,
You didn't imagine I'd leave that gun loaded, did you, Professor? Here are the cartridges. I didn't suppose you'd want to use that gun again, so I took them out while you were talking, put them in my pocket. You'll find them all there, Professor. Billy!
Yes, sir?
Will you please show Professor Moriarty out?
Yes, sir. This way, sir.
Don't say I didn't warn you, Mr. Holmes.
Oh, no, Professor. I never will. Billy, come here.
Yes, sir?
Billy. You're a good boy, Billy.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
You are listening to a reproduction of the Columbia Broadcasting System's presentation of Orson Welles in the Mercury Theatre on the Air in Sherlock Holmes. We now continue with our production.
'Twas exactly 9 o'clock when Sherlock Holmes left the house in Baker Street. He had given the strictest instructions that no one was to follow him. If there had been no word from him by noon of the following day, we must notify Scotland Yard. I went to the window and looked after him as he went down Baker Street, a tall, thin figure in a grey ulster, walking with long, smooth steps in the direction of Langham Place. There he entered a cab.
Yeah, what are you doing? Lighting matches here.
That's what I'm doing.
Chuck it.
Why should I chuck it?
There might be gas, you fool.
There ain't no gas. It's been 4 days since we last had a gas in the room.
Yeah, I still say there might be gas.
Did you check it?
I will. Here goes. Ready?
Give her a turn. That'll do. Turn her off.
5 minutes of that, all your troubles are ended. Yeah, what's that?
BASSICK.
That's right, CRAIGIN, that you, LEARY.
Yes, sir.
McTAGUE.
Yes, sir.
Be careful now, you boys. We got a tough one tonight.
You ain't said who, as I've heard.
Sherlock Holmes.
Oh. You mean that, sir?
God's truth.
We're going to count him out?
Well, if you don't and he gets away, I'm sorry for you, that's all. The governor's here.
Not the governor himself, Professor Moriarty.
Shut up.
Where's CRAIGIN?
Here, sir.
Got your full crew?
All here, sir.
No mistakes tonight, CRAIGIN.
I'll be careful of that, sir.
This is LARRABEE.
Hello?
He's in on the job.
Hello, LARRABEE.
What's that door, BASSICK?
The small cupboard, sir.
No outlet.
None whatsoever, sir.
That window?
Nailed down, sir.
Man might break the glass.
If he did, he'd come up against heavy iron bars outside.
Huh.
We'll have him tied down before he can break any glass, sir.
Oh, you used it before, eh? Of course, you know it's airtight.
Every crevice is sealed, sir.
When the men have turned the gas on them, they leave by this door.
Yes, sir.
It can be made quite secure.
Heavy bolts on the outside, sir. Solid oak bars all over.
Let me see how quick you can operate them.
They tie a man down, sir. There's no need to hurry.
Let me see how quick you can operate them.
LEARY?
Yes, sir.
That's good. Open it up. Now, CRAIGIN and the rest of you, one thing remember, whatever happens, no shooting tonight. Not a single shot. It can be heard in the alley below. The first thing is to get his revolver away before he has a chance to use it. Two of you attract his attention in front, the other come up on him behind and snatch it out of his pocket. Then you have him. Arrange that, CRAIGIN.
I'll tend to it, sir.
Mr. LARRABEE, you understand. They wait for you.
I understand, sir.
I give you this opportunity to sell him the package of letters you forged and get what you can for your trouble. A few £100 doesn't interest me, Mr. LARRABEE. What I am after is Holmes.
I understand, sir.
When you've finished and you've got your money, you whistle, and these gentlemen come in. Let's hear it. You hear that, CRAIGIN? That's right. And CRAIGIN, at the proper moment, present my compliments to Mr. Sherlock Holmes and say that I wish him a pleasant journey to the other side. Oh, come on, BASSICK. Good night, gentlemen. Good night, LARRABEE.
Good night, sir. All right, boys. Clear? When you hear the whistle, in you come.
Right you are, sir.
Leary?
Yes, sir?
You get down on the corner below and let me know when he comes.
How will I let you know?
Well, when you see him driving up, come down to the alley and whistle 3 times.
Very good, sir. Yeah, what's this? How did you get in? What are you doing in the back there, eh?
What is it, Leary?
A woman here in the back.
Bring her in.
Come on, you. Come on.
So it's you, Miss Faulkner.
It's true then.
How did you get to this place?
I followed you in the cab.
What have you been doing since I came up here? Informing the police, perhaps?
No, I was afraid he'd come, so I waited.
To warn him, I suppose?
Yes, to warn him, yes. You're going to swindle and deceive him, sell him a packet of false letters. I know that. What else are you going to do to him?
Wouldn't you like to know?
Where are those men who came up here?
What men?
3 terrible-looking men. I saw them go in at the street door.
You don't mean these men, do you, Miss Faulkner? Tie her up, boys, so she can't make a noise. Tie her up. Listen. That's him. There he is now.
What, Holmes?
That's him. That's the signal.
Oh, we won't have time to get her out.
Shut her in there, in the cupboard.
Yeah, that'll do.
In with her, into the cupboard.
Hey, there ain't no lock on this air cupboard door.
Well, drive something in then.
Here, this knife, this'll do.
Yeah.
That'll hold her. Now get out, quick, quick. Good evening, Mr. Holmes.
Mr. LARRABEE. Now, really, I certainly thought after all this driving about in a closed cab, you'd show me something new.
Seen it before, have you, Mr. Holmes?
Well, a time or two. Now that I come to think of it, I nabbed a friend of yours in this place while he was trying to drop himself out of that window. Ned Colvin, the cracksman.
Colvin? Colvin? Never heard of him before.
Oh, you certainly never heard of him after, I'm sure of that. A brace of counterfeiters used these luxurious chambers in the spring of '89. One of them hid in that cupboard. We pulled him out by his heels.
Quite interesting. But times have changed since then.
So they have, Mr. LARRABEE, so they have. Then it was only cracksmen, counterfeiters, pickpockets, and petty swindlers of various kinds. Now...
Well, what now?
Well, between you and me, Mr. LARRABEE, we've heard some not altogether agreeable rumors. Rumors of pretty shady work done not far from here. Of murderers who are of a very peculiar kind. I've always had the suspicion. Yes, I was correct. It is.
It is what?
This room is corked, sealed.
What does that signify to us?
Oh, nothing to us, Mr. LARRABEE, nothing to us. But it might signify a good deal to some poor devil who's been caught and gassed in this trap.
Well, if there's nothing to us, suppose we leave it alone and get to business. My time is limited.
Of course, I should have realized that these reflections could not possibly appeal to you.
Smoke? Have a cigar, Mr. Holmes?
Thank you. It's a good cigar, this. Genuine Havana.
Glad you like it. Now, here's a little packet of letters, which is the object of this meeting. I haven't opened it yet, but Miss Faulkner tells me everything is there.
I suppose, Mr. LARRABEE, that is, Miss Faulkner knows nothing about this transaction. We omit her name from the discussion.
What do you mean? Who told you she doesn't know?
You did. Every look, every tone, every gesture, everything you've said and done since I've been in this room has informed me that Miss Faulkner has never consented to this transaction. It's just a little speculation of your own, isn't it?
Oh. I suppose you think you can read me like a book?
Oh, no. More like a primer.
Well, let it pass. How much will you give?
£1,000.
I couldn't take it.
What do you ask?
5,000.
I couldn't give it.
Well, I've been offered 4,000 for this little packet.
But why didn't you take it?
As I intended to get more.
That's too bad.
They offered 4,000, they'll give 5.
They won't give anything.
Why not?
Because they've turned the case over to me.
Oh. Will you give 3,000?
Mr. LARRABEE, strange as it may appear, my time is limited as well as yours. I've brought with me the sum of £1,000, which is all that I wish to pay. Now, if it's your desire to sell at that figure, kindly apprise me of that fact at once. If not, permit me to wish you a very good evening. Well?
You can have it. It's too small a matter to haggle over. Give me the money.
Certainly.
I thought you said you'd only brought just 1,000.
I did. This is it.
You brought a trifle more, I see.
Oh, quite so, but I didn't say I hadn't brought any more.
Well, you can do your little tricks when it comes to it, can't you?
Depends on who I'm dealing with.
Yeah, you give me that money. Come on, quick, hand it over.
Ow! Now I've got you where I want you, Mr. James LARRABEE. You've been so cunning and so cautious, so wise. We couldn't find a thing to hold you for. But this little slip will get you in for robbery.
Oh, you'll have me in, will you? What are your views about being able to get away from here yourself?
I do not anticipate any particular difficulty.
Robbery, eh? Why, even if you got away from here, you haven't got a witness. You haven't got a witness to your name.
I'm not so sure of that, Mr. LARRABEE. Not so sure of that at all. Do you usually fasten this cupboard with a knife?
Come away from that door.
FAULKNER. FAULKNER, you contemptible scoundrel. What does this mean?
I'll show you what it means. Curse quick!
I'm afraid you're badly hurt, Miss FAULKNER.
Mr. Holmes, look, behind you.
Get him!
I'll have to ask you gentlemen to wait just one moment, please.
Here, there. What's the idea of sitting down and writing?
What are you writing? Writing your will, I suppose?
Oh, no. Just a brief description of one or two of you gentlemen for the police. But I'm ready now.
Wait a bit. You better listen to me, Mr. Holmes. We're gonna tie you down nice and tight on top of that table.
Why, you surprised me, gentlemen. Thinking you're sure of anybody in this room with 3 bars gone from that window?
Bars or no bars, you're not going to get out of here as easy as you expect.
There are so many ways, Mr. LARRABEE, so many ways I hardly know which one to choose.
Well, you'd better choose quick, I can tell you that.
I'll choose at once, Mr. CRAIGIN. And my choice falls on this chair.
My God, the lights! He's getting away in the dark!
Stop! Look out!
CRAIGIN, look at his cigar!
I trace him by the cigar.
Watch his cigar!
Look out! He's going for the window!
He's up on the ledge. He's climbed up. He's looking at... Look at his cigar!
Get him, quick! After him!
There he goes. He's up by the window.
No, no, gentlemen, not by the window. I'm leaving by the door. By the way, I left my cigar for you on the windowsill. Good evening, gentlemen. Come along, Miss FAULKNER.
There was no news of Holmes that night, and Billy reported next morning he had not breakfasted at home. I had a busy morning in my office in Harley Street. It was after 11 before the last of my appointments was over, and still no news of Holmes.
Did you ring, Watson?
Oh, Parsons, is there anyone waiting? I have to be in Baker Street at noon.
There's one person in the waiting room, Doctor, a lady, sir, and she wants to see you most particular.
What about?
She didn't say, sir. Only she said it was of the most importance to, if you'd see her, sir.
Oh, very well, I'll see her. And call a cab for me at the same time and have it wait. Show the lady in.
Yes, sir. This way, Mum, this way.
Doctor, it's awfully good of you to see me. I'm Mrs. H. DeWitt Seaton. Oh, dear me, I didn't bring my card case, or if I did, I've lost it.
Oh, don't trouble about a card, Mrs. Seaton.
They said you were Mr. Holmes's friend. Several people told me that, several. They advised me to ask you where I could find him today, this morning. Everything depends on it, Doctor, everything.
Oh, I'd go to Mr. Holmes at once.
But I've been, and he wasn't there.
You've been to Mr. Holmes' house?
Yes, in Baker Street. That's why I came to you. They said he might be here.
No, he isn't here.
But don't you expect him this morning?
No, there's no possibility of Holmes coming, as far as I know.
But couldn't you get him to come? It would be such a great favour to me. I'm almost worn out with going about this dreadful anxiety. If you could get word to Mr. Holmes to come.
I could not get him to come, madam, and I beg you to excuse me. I'm going out myself on urgent business. I have no idea where Mr. Holmes could be.
Out!
What's that, Parsons?
It sounded like an accident, sir.
Probably nothing more than a broken-down hansom. See what it is, Parsons.
If that's about, sir, someone's hurt, sir, and they're wanting you.
Well, don't allow anybody to come in. I have no more time.
Very well, sir.
But they're coming in, Doctor!
Let the old man come in, can't you?
We had to bring him in. There ain't nowhere else for him to go.
What kind of doctor's office is this when he can't come in when he's hurt?
The doctor can't see anybody.
He's got to come in. He can't leave him out in the street, can he?
Oh!
All right. Help him in, Parsons.
Doctor, isn't it frightful? Can I be of some use?
None whatsoever, madam.
But, Doctor, I must see the poor fellow.
My leg, my leg.
Right this way, sir. Be careful, there's still, sir. That's it.
It was an accident. You can't help with an accident.
You can't. That's plain enough.
He was on the wrong side of the street, he was.
Now over to this chair.
No, I'll sit here.
No, this is the chair, sir.
Don't you know? Suppose I know where I want to sit down.
You'll sit down here.
But that isn't the doctor.
Now, the doctor will have a look at you. Here's the doctor.
That isn't a doctor.
Yes, it is a doctor. Here, doctor, you just come and have a look at this old bloke, will you? He's hurt himself a little and...
Hey, you the cabman?
Yes, I'm the cabman.
Well, and I'll have you arrested for this.
Arrested?
Arrested!
You can't arrest me.
No, I can't, but somebody else can. Where's my hat? Where's my hat? My hat!
Never mind your hat.
Oh, I will mind my hat and I'll hold you responsible.
And there's your hat in your hand. Go on, sit down.
This isn't my hat. You're responsible. I'll have you arrested. Yeah, come back here.
I can't stick around here, you know. I'm going to go and tend to my bleeding horse.
You bring your horse in here. I want to speak to him. Oh, it's a conspiracy. I won't stay in this place. If I ever get out of here alive... What are you staring at me for, lady?
Parsons, tell that cab to wait for me. I must see if he's badly hurt.
Yes, sir.
Now, my friend, if you'll sit quiet for one moment, I'll have a look at you. Well, stay still, will you?
It's
how can I...
Oh, it's remarkable. Remarkable weather we're having. Hey, doctor?
Holmes? What on earth?
How about helping me remove some of this ridiculous disguise, eh, Watson?
Holmes, is that you?
Quite so, my dear fellow. Quite so.
Holmes?
Watson, don't let it get near that window. Look out! The blinds, look out!
What do you want me to do?
Nothing. It's already been done by Mrs. LARRABEE here.
Look out, Holmes. She can get out that way.
I don't think so, Watson. Foreman!
I've got her, sir.
Good work, Foreman. Now, take this lady in charge.
Yes, sir.
Very good, Foreman. And wait for me outside.
Yes, sir.
Watson, my dear fellow, I regret to say that up till the present time, Professor Moriarty has himself not risen to the bait.
Where do you think he is?
Oh, he's out in the open streets, under some clever disguise, just waiting for a chance to get at me.
And was this woman sent in here to...
Quite so. Quite so, as a spy, to let them know by some signal if she found me in the house. Now they know. Oh, pull down that blind, Watson. I don't care to be shot at from the street. I imagine we shall hear from Professor Moriarty very soon now.
Mr. Holmes! Mr. Holmes!
What did I tell you?
He's come, sir.
From where?
The house across the street. He was in there and watched these windows. He must have seen something, for he's just come out. There's a cab waiting in front of this house, sir, and he's climbed up and changed places with the driver.
Get out there again quick, Billy, and keep your eye on him.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Watson, can you let me have a rather heavy portmanteau for a few moments? I won't do it any harm.
Parsons, my large Gladstone over there in the corner. Bring it here, please.
Yes, sir. Here you are, sir. Here's your
Thank
portmanteau.
Thank you, Parsons. Put it down there. Thank you so much. Oh, Parsons, you ordered the cab for the doctor a short time ago, and it's waiting, I believe.
Yes, sir. I think it is, sir.
Be so good as to tell the driver to come up here to get a valise. When he comes, tell him that that's the one.
Very good, sir.
My dear Watson, times like these, you should tell your man never to take the first cab that comes on call, nor the second. Third may be safe.
But Holmes, I don't understand.
All right, I'm coming.
Yes, cabby, right in this way.
Yes, this bag, I would like it taken down to the street.
Right here, Governor, right here.
All right. Well, goodbye, Watson. Goodbye, old fellow. Wait a minute, driver, that's pretty heavy. Let me help you. Watson, I'll write you from Budapest.
Yes, but Holmes.
Now here, driver, let me tighten these straps a bit. There we are. That's right. Now, I'll hold it, driver. You pull the strap. There's a few little things in this bag I wouldn't like to lose.
Right you are, sir.
It's just as well to make quite sure, is it not, Professor Moriarty? By means of simple handcuffs.
Blast you, Holmes. Do you imagine, Sherlock Holmes, that this is the end?
I venture to dream that it might be.
Are you quite sure the police will be able to hold me?
Professor Moriarty, I am quite sure of nothing. Take him away for me. So, my dear Watson, ends the strange case of Miss Alice Faulkner.
Well, what about the letters?
Oh, the letters? Well, they were returned to their rightful owner over an hour ago. I suspected from the start that Miss Faulkner was really a rather nice girl at heart. Oh, dear.
What is it, Holmes?
I was just reflecting, my dear Watson. With Moriarty out of the way, London, from the point of view of the criminal expert, is likely to become a singularly uninteresting city. One's morning paper a veritable wilderness of boredom.
Mr. Holmes.
Yes, Billy.
It's a lady, sir. Been waiting for an hour. Says she's got to see you, sir. Case of murder, she says. She's got her face veiled.
From which I deduce that she is a lady of over 41 and less than 45, of strange dark beauty and considerable social eminence, and that she's lived for some years in the Near East, and that she's now wearing a large blood ruby on the second finger of her left hand.
Holmes, how do you know these things? It's amazing.
Elementary, my dear Watson, elementary. Child's play of deduction.
This Just a Stage I'm Going Through production group has just brought you a performance of Sherlock Holmes, adapted by Orson Welles from a play by William Gillette. I want to again recognize our players this afternoon. Christopher Tully played Sherlock Holmes. Bill MacDonald played Dr. Watson. Jen Sizer played Professor Moriarty. John Sheldon played LARRABEE. Erin Klarner played MADGE, as well as being our technical director. Emlyn Altman played Alice FAULKNER. Nathan Rosen played FORMAN, Judson, and LEARY. Ollie Maxted played Billy. Marshall Bradshaw played CRAIGIN and the carriage driver. Pisarra played BASSICK and Parsons. And I, Stuart Fisher, played McTAGUE, as well as being your host, director, and producer. Misty provided sound design and execution. The Just a Stage I'm Going Through production group was designed to primarily perform Zoom readings during the winter months. Join us, please, for our next production, The Hitchhiker, on Sunday evening, January 8, 2023. The Hitchhiker will be another presentation of a 1938 performance of a Mercury Theatre on the Air radio play. On January 22, 2023, we will be performing a Zoom premiere of the drama September 11th Was a Tuesday by Steve LaRock. We intend to present 2 more readings in February to be announced later. We hope that you will join us again. As always, thank you for watching and supporting us. Good afternoon and happy holidays.